February 20th, 1962, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Astronaut John Glenn is about to become the first American to orbit Earth. Everything is ready. The Friendship 7 capsule sits atop an Atlas rocket. Mission Control has run every simulation. NASA's brand new IBM computers have calculated Glenn's trajectory thousands of times. The numbers are perfect. The mission is go. But Glenn has one condition before he'll climb into that capsule. He wants a specific person to check the computer's work. Not just any engineer, not the mission director. A black woman mathematician who works in a basement office doing calculations by hand. "Get the girl," Glenn says, "and if she says the numbers are good, I'm ready to go." The girl was Katherine Johnson, and her calculations had never been wrong. Before we continue, your like and subscription are essential. They tell YouTube that stories about black women who changed history matter. Thank you. Katherine Coleman was born in 1918 in West Virginia. She was a mathematical prodigy. By age 10, she was in high school. By 18, she had graduated college with degrees in mathematics and French. But in 1937, employment options for black women, even brilliant ones, were extremely limited. She became a teacher. It was respectable work, but it wasn't enough. Her mind needed more. In 1953, she heard that the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the predecessor to NASA, was hiring mathematicians. They needed people who could perform complex calculations for aeronautical research. The job was in Virginia. Johnson applied. She was hired as a computer, a human calculator, and she joined a segregated unit of black women mathematicians whose work was essential but whose contributions were invisible. The women in the West Area Computing Unit did the same work as their white male colleagues, calculating flight trajectories, analyzing wind tunnel data, verifying experimental results. But they worked in a separate building, they used separate bathrooms, they ate at separate tables, and their names rarely appeared on research papers. The white male engineers got credit. The black women computers did the work. Katherine Johnson didn't accept that arrangement quietly. She asked questions in meetings where women weren't supposed to speak. She insisted on attending briefings where black employees weren't invited. She demanded to know why her name wasn't on papers she had authored, and she was so brilliantly, undeniably good at mathematics that her supervisors couldn't dismiss her. They needed her too badly. When NASA began the Mercury program, putting the first Americans in space, Johnson was assigned to calculate launch windows and trajectories. This was extraordinarily complex work. A rocket launch isn't just pointing upward and accelerating. You're calculating orbital mechanics, atmospheric drag, gravitational variations, re-entry angles. Get any variable wrong, and the astronaut dies. Johnson's calculations accounted for every factor. Her trajectories were perfect, and when NASA acquired IBM computers to handle the calculations electronically, there was skepticism. Computers were new, untested, prone to errors. But Katherine Johnson, she had never been wrong. If you're finding value here, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us continue rescuing these stories. Thank you. Which brings us back to John Glenn in 1962. The IBM computers had calculated his orbital trajectory, but Glenn had heard about Katherine Johnson. He knew her reputation. He knew that astronauts trusted her calculations more than they trusted the machines. So before risking his life on a computer's numbers, he wanted Johnson to verify them by hand. NASA called her. She worked for a day and a half straight, recalculating the entire trajectory manually. When she finished, she confirmed, the computers were correct. Glenn's orbit would work. Only then did he agree to launch, and the mission was a perfect success. He orbited Earth 3 times and returned safely. Katherine Johnson's calculations had been right again, but Johnson's greatest contribution was still to come. 1969, Apollo 11. The mission to land humans on the moon. Calculating a lunar trajectory is exponentially more complex than calculating an Earth orbit. You're dealing with 2 gravitational fields, a moving target, precise timing for translunar injection, and a return trajectory that must hit Earth's atmosphere at exactly the right angle. Too steep and the capsule burns up, too shallow and it bounces off into space forever. Johnson had been working on lunar trajectory mathematics for years. Her equations guided Apollo 11 to the moon and back. When Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, he was standing where Katherine Johnson's calculations said he would be. When the command module splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, it landed where Katherine Johnson said it would land. Her work made the moon landing possible. And yet, for decades, her name was unknown outside NASA. The astronauts were famous. The mission directors were celebrated. The engineers were honored. But the black woman mathematician whose calculations made it all work remained invisible. It wasn't until 2016, when the book and film Hidden Figures told her story, that the world finally learned Katherine Johnson's name. She was 98 years old, and suddenly everyone wanted to honor her. NASA renamed a building after her. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Schools and scholarships bear her name. She became a symbol of overlooked brilliance finally recognized. Katherine Johnson died in 2020 at age 101. She lived long enough to see her contributions acknowledged. She lived long enough to inspire a new generation of women and girls in STEM. She lived long enough to know that her work mattered, that her name would be remembered, that the calculations she did in that basement office had changed human history. Every person who has ever looked up at the moon and marveled that humans walked there, they owe a debt to Katherine Johnson. Every woman in mathematics or engineering who has been told she doesn't belong, she has Katherine Johnson's example to prove otherwise. And every time someone asks whether brilliance can come from unexpected places, the answer is yes, absolutely yes. Because one of the most brilliant mathematical minds of the 20th century was a black woman from West Virginia, who NASA called the girl. And she never made a mistake. If this story moved you, your like and subscription make a real difference. They help us continue telling the truth about brilliance the world tried to erase. Thank you for being here.